Hello, this is Strawberry Podfics, and you're listening to Not Quite Twins by Leonard Hartwood, Chapter 7. I need to use the bathroom. We both know you don't, Hitoshi sighed, glaring at Izuku. It's not that hard. Your teacher is already expecting you. He's not mad. You're getting help with your quirk. Don't go freaking out. Okay, Izuku said, taking a few deep breaths. I've got this. Hitoshi patted his back. Yeah, you do. Now, I'm going to go to the library. You head to your class to see him, or check by the teacher's lounge. Do not chicken out, or he might call you out in front of your classmates. And which of those is worse? Izuku's eyes went wide. Heading to class, I'll see you at lunch. With that, he rushed off to his classroom and proceeded to pause at the door. Maybe he could just... Nope, I need to go inside. I can do this. Izuku slowly opened the classroom door. Sure enough, Aizawa-sensei was sitting at his desk and looked at Izuku. Good, you're here, Aizawa-sensei said, sitting up. Come on. Aizawa-sensei left the room, and Izuku quickly followed him over to the teacher's lounge. Yamada! Aizawa-sensei said as they stepped in. President Mike looked up from his desk, then stood up as Aizawa-sensei led Izuku to the meeting room from yesterday. All right, sit, President Mike said as he sat down. Izuku did, too. Aizawa was sitting as well, but not right by Izuku. Now, I hear your quirk came in very recently, yeah? Izuku nodded. A week before the entrance exam. President Mike hummed. Unheard of, but I'm sure we can figure it out. Now, the plan right now is for training after school for an hour each day. Can be bumped up to 2 if you continue to struggle with it. You'll meet me at the teacher's lounge every day right after your classes are over, and we'll go from there. Yamada's in charge of working on you with your quirk, Aizawa-sensei said. Makes sense, Izuku said. Eraserhead's quirk works more like Hitoshi's, where it's on or off, not really any room for in-between, although it would be interesting, in theory, if there was some kind of dampening effect instead that could potentially combat dry eye, if it can work like that. Same way with my theory of Hitoshi's quirk potentially being able to plant suggestions in someone's mind to gear them towards acting a certain way instead of fully making them producing less exotoxin, at least I'd hope. Mind saying that a little loud, little listener? President Mike asked. Izuku slapped his hands over his mouth, hunching his shoulders. Sorry. No need to be sorry, just say it a little louder. I think I caught the word exotoxin in there, President Mike said. You don't meet a lot of first years that know what that is. My brother has a mental quirk. His brain has a lot of it, making it harder for him to sleep, Izuku said, carefully choosing his words. His quirk is more like Aizawa-sensei's with on and off. Mine isn't, though. At least, it shouldn't be, either breaking my bones or not. Exactly, President Mike said. We're going to work on figuring out how strong you are and how much of your quirk you can use. It's more like my quirk with levels instead of on or off. So that's why I'm training with you after school instead of Aizawa over here. He'll join us from time to time to make sure you aren't getting hurt. Best to stop that from happening when we can, you know? Yeah, Izuku said. Good, President Mike said. Now, we'll have the first few sessions be nice and easy, just getting an understanding of your quirk before we start fully training with it. Okay, Izuku said. He can work with that. He can do this. Good, President Mike said. Now, I'm seeing you for English class today. Hope you're ready for a placement test. Your brother was able to hold a conversation in English yesterday, and I think I remember him saying that your dad lived in America for a while, yeah? Yep, until I was 6, and he sometimes goes back for a month or 2 or so at a time, but not for years anymore, Izuku said, then slipped into English. I wouldn't say I'm fluent, but I got into some American TV shows when I was younger, so I've got a good handle on it. President Mike laughed at that. All right, now head to homeroom. I'm sure you'll be there before this softy over here. Hey, Aizawa-sensei grunted. He really does care about his students. Trust me now. I'll see you later, President Mike said. Izuku nodded and then got up and walked over to the door and out of the teacher's lounge. He debated on going to find Hitoshi, but he ultimately decided to go to his own homeroom. Good morning, Midoriya. Izuku jumped. Why was Ida already here? Good morning, Ida, Izuku said as he walked over to his seat, sitting down and pulling out his training plan notebook. What's that for? Ida asked. Just looking at my training plan, Izuku said, flipping open to his routine pages. I just need to add some training I'm doing. Very admirable of you, Ida said. He is way too loud for this early in the morning. I was meaning to talk to you yesterday, but I couldn't find you at lunch or after school. Mind if we sit at lunch together today? Oh, I'm sitting with my brother. He's in a different department and doesn't like sitting with strangers, Izuku said. Oh, I see, Ida said. Is he a second year? Actually, we're twins, Izuku said. Oh, interesting. That doesn't happen often, Ida said. What department? Just a different one, Izuku said. Maybe another time for lunch, though. Perfect, Ida said. Now, I have been meaning to ask you a few questions about the entrance exam. Oh, sorry for mumbling. I really am working on it. It is a strange habit, Ida said, but I'm sure you will have a curb on it very soon. Yeah, Izuku said, hunching over his notebook a little bit. But something I was meaning to ask you yesterday was about your quirk. You broke your limbs at the entrance exam, and your finger yesterday, with how on top you seem of your training schedule. Especially, I find it strange that you don't seem to have the best control over your own quirk. Oh, I really don't want to have this conversation. No quirk counselor wanted to work with a kid that breaks his bones, Izuku lied. I'm getting help now, though, through UA. Though UA is a little more willing to help out with Recovery Girl on site if something happens. That makes sense, Ida said. I'm sure you will be doing well with your quirk very soon. Although you seem strong without it, you placed very high yesterday and managed to get first in the entrance exam after all. Where was I? Yeah, Izuku said, feeling a little unsettled at that as he leaned against his hand and bit his lip. Please tell me he's not only talking to me because I'm strong. I was meaning to congratulate you yesterday on your quick thinking and understanding of the exam, Ida said. I had no idea there were rescue points, but you clearly had some kind of idea since you jumped in without hesitation. Well, it was in the pamphlet, if you read it close enough, Izuku said. It was, Ida said. Interesting, but that is a failing on on UA's part to not inform us. The line was, a true hero looks out for civilians surrounding them and acts accordingly, Izuku said. They wanted to see if you would save people because it's the right thing to do. Ah, I see, Ida said. That is a truly exceptional way of figuring. You're really loud, you know that? The two turned to see Todoroki walk into the classroom. He is a really cool quirk. I don't geek out about it right now. My apologies. How has your morning been, Todoroki? Ida asked. Todoroki said, sitting down. Ida walked over to him, and Izuku quickly focused on his notebook instead, scribbling down more. Okay, so that's an extra hour after school each day. We'll have to see what all the ideas for my quirk are. Something like present mic at levels. Maybe I need to think of it as in levels too. Like, my current level is level 100 or something, and I need to defeat the previous levels first? So I start at level 1 with my powers, or 1% with my power. If I start there and try to use 2% and then up to until I'm at the level I should be at. I don't know what level I'm on right now. Midoriya, you're mumbling. I didn't catch that though. Sorry, Izuku said, closing that notebook. You can figure it out more later. For now, mentally prepare for the day. I am here, coming through the door like a normal person. Izuku's eyes widened in excitement. Yes, class with all might, ignoring the fact he'd been training with the man for the last almost year now. This was actual official class. He was wearing his Silver Age costume. So cool! Excited whispers scattered around the room as All Might stepped up to the podium with a huge smile on his face. I'll be teaching your Practical Heroics course for today, All Might said. We'll be at Grand Beta for this, so it's time to head over there, but first... He clicked a button, and cases came out of the wall. Grab your costumes! Oh, heck yeah! Izuku, right along his classmates, quickly grabbed his hero costume and rushed to the changing room, eagerly pulling out his suit, one that Mom had made for him even, and, well... Oh, that had better not be what your costume design is. I like it, though, Izuku mumbled, shifting slightly as Hitoshi scanned it over, then gave his twin an exasperated look. You look like a freaking bunny, Hitoshi said. You even have bunny ears. They're supposed to be All Might's hair, Izuku said. Hitoshi smacked him with the notebook. That's even worse. Also, green is an eyesore, he said. Look, let's just... Here. He grabbed a pencil and started to sketch. Are you really attached to the bunny ears? It's All Might's hair. That ain't All Might's hair. Okay, in person it didn't look like All Might's hair, but Mom made it, and it turned out even better than he'd planned. He was still wondering when she found the time, but he did have some add-ons through the school's costume department. It was a dark green jumpsuit, the top looking like Katara's initial blue outfit that attached to the pants. They were baggier and a slightly longer version of Ty Lee's pants that ended about mid-calf. The rest covered by Izuku's combat boots, or, well, something like combat boots. They were made of a more flexible material to make it easier to kick at things. The sleeves were long and tight fit, couldn't have them catching on anything, and there was a hood that had the bunny ears on it, complete with a mouthguard that looked like a smile. Around his waist was a utility belt with some knives strapped to it, although more would be hidden in the boots, and there was also a few pockets for emergency first aid equipment and anything else he might need. Mom had sewn it from some fireproof clothing lying around the house. He can never be too careful with someone that breathes fire in the house, but it wasn't the easiest to work with. Seriously, when did she get the time? And the fabric was sturdy and could be reinforced if needed. Overall, it was a solid first costume. Izuku changed quickly, then glanced around the room at his classmates and their costumes. Okay, first of all, he had some concerns. Mineta should scrap that costume altogether and leave the hero course while he's at it. Seriously, that looked like a diaper. What the hell? Ida's looked like Ingenium's, straight up, and Hitoshi had the nerve to tell him not to copy a detail from All Might. Bakugo's was well enough. Kirishima needed to put a shirt on. That's all Izuku had to say about his costume, though. I heard my name. What'd you say, Midoriya? Sorry, Izuku stammered, then quickly darted his way over to the door and rushed out to Ground Beta. Hey, wait for us! Holy shit, he changes fast. It wasn't long before all the boys were at the Ground Beta, the girls quickly joining them, probably hearing the boys rushing to leave and rushing after them, where All Might smiled at all of them. They say that the costumes make the pros. You all look great, All Might said. All Might said the costumes looked great. Then all of them were definitely great. A voice that sounded suspiciously like Hitoshi's in Izuku's head went, yeah, well, All Might's not always right. Just look at the girl costumes. What, was Uraraka wearing heels? Momo's costume was... Izuku was pretty sure that was breaking a few laws. Hagakure's was definitely breaking a few based on her muttering to Ashido that she wished she could wear something besides gloves and shoes. Wow. We will be doing battle trials, All Might explained, as Izuku glanced around. He was new to the costume scene, as his classmates were, but he'd been studying heroes for years now, and was certain that some of these costumes could use a lot of work. Not the time. He was so glad that his face mask thing was designed to block out what he was saying when he wanted it to. Everyone will be randomly assigned to teams of 2, and you will be facing off against another team, All Might said. One team will be infiltrating the building, while the other is going to be inside the building, protecting a fake bomb. The hero team will have 15 minutes before they lose and win. They either have to capture both villains or capture the bomb. Ida raised his hand. Yes? All Might asked. Is it smart to assign us to random teams? Ida asked. It does work that way sometimes. You're randomly paired with someone in a moment's notice because you're who's available, Izuku said. Ah, that is a good point. My apologies, Ida said. Right now, let's show the teams, All Might said as a screen appeared behind him, loading for a few seconds before showing the teams. Oh, we're teamed together, Uraraka said, giving Izuku a high five. Let's do our best, Izuku said, glancing at the other teams. Bakugo was with Ida. That sounded like a disaster waiting to happen. I'll draw the first teams now, All Might said, reaching into 2 boxes and pulling out. Team A will be the heroes, while Team D will be the villains. Oh, god damn it! Izuku could practically feel Bakugo's eyes burning into the back of his skull, but he resisted the urge to turn and look at him as he instead looked at Uraraka. We can do this, Izuku said. Yeah, Uraraka said. Alright, Team D, proceed to the building. Team A, you'll get a map of the floor plan and 5 minutes of prep time, All Might said, handing over papers to all 4. Ida and Bakugo went into their building, while Izuku and Uraraka stood outside. Alright, they won't place the bomb on the top or the bottom floors, too obvious, Izuku said, analyzing the floor plan. Most rooms are by windows, so there's a high chance they'll have the bomb in one of their rooms. Smartest idea would be away from the window, but that's not as much of an option here. So maybe we can peek through windows, or if possible, climb out through the windows and proceed to other floors that way, mumbling, sorry. My guess is that Bakugo will come after the two of us while Ida stays with the bomb. Our worst chance would be both of us against both of them. Best case, we can get just us against Ida, but Bakugo is strong. He's earned that respect. I bet he'll come after me, allowing you to move past and find Ida. Let me know when you do. I'll try to get away from Bakugo and join you from there. He paused. Anything you want to add? That all sounds good to me, Uraraka said. You seem almost familiar with both of them, though, Deku. Izuku tensed up at that and turned and blinked at her. What did you just call me? Izuku asked. Deku, that's what Bakugo's been calling you, Uraraka said. You know that means useless, right? Izuku asked. Uraraka's eyes widened. Oh, I'm sorry, it just sounded Dekiru. Like, you can do it. Feel free to call me that, then, but just not Deku, Izuku said, then thought for a few seconds. Midoriya or Izuku works too. Call me anything, really. Wait, really? Uraraka asked. Yeah, I have a twin brother, so I'm used to not being called Midoriya to differentiate between the two of us, Izuku said. That's so cool. Does he go here? Uraraka asked. In 1B? 1C, actually, Izuku said, looking at the building. But that's not the point. He tapped his earpiece to talk to All Might. Hey, All Might-sensei? Yes, young Midoriya? All Might asked. Once we enter the building, are we allowed to leave before time's up? Izuku asked. Better make sure there's no penalty for this. Of course, All Might said. Sweet, thanks, Izuku said, then turned to Uraraka. If you need, feel free to climb between windows. Can you make yourself float? I can, but it makes me nauseous, Uraraka said. Not a fun weakness to work around, Izuku nodded. If necessary, the ledges by the windows look wide enough to slide on if you're careful, but only if necessary. Okay, Uraraka said. Hero team, are you ready? Both of them nodded. Your 15 minutes starts now. Izuku quickly walked into the building, Uraraka right behind him. All right, keep close, and the second you get a chance, go on without me, Izuku said. Right, Uraraka said. Deku! Bakugo came bursting around the corner, immediately aiming for Izuku with, you guessed it, a right hook. Now, Izuku might have once cowered in fear. He might have once let himself get beat up, or been too scared to fight back against his bully, or just generally at a disadvantage. Instead, Izuku grabbed onto Bakugo's arm, minding the explosion he set off, and shouted, Now! As he slammed Bakugo onto the floor, noting that Uraraka ran right afterwards. What? Bakugo said as Izuku stepped back and got into a fighting stance while Bakugo hopped up. You always start with a right hook. You know that? Izuku said. You always have, ever since we were kids. I know how to fight against you, and I know how to win, too. If looks could kill, well, which one of them would have been dead first? Bakugo, who was glaring daggers and clearly about to lunge into the fight, or Izuku, who looked at every single weak point he could find in Bakugo's costume and began to plan around how to exploit that? Bakugo lunged at Izuku with a roar, explosions being set off, again, going for a right hook. Will he never learn to adapt? Izuku stepped to the side, then dodged down when Bakugo set an explosion to change the direction he was going to aim right back at Izuku. Smart idea. It almost worked, keyword being almost. Izuku dodged down and to the side, then quickly rebounded, and before Bakugo could react, Izuku brought up his foot and slammed down onto Bakugo's back, sending him to the ground. But Bakugo kicked out his legs to try and catch Izuku off balance. Izuku braced against the kick and managed to stay upright as he grabbed out the capture tape. He wasn't completely sure if Bakugo would really stay down if captured. He was supposed to, but supposed to and actually doing so are two very different things when Bakugo wants to keep fighting or doesn't feel like he's been properly defeated. You damn nerd! Bakugo said, throwing another punch at Izuku. Then, grabbing at his gauntlet, you were supposed to be weak with that weird quirk of yours, not show up with something stronger. Well, sorry to disappoint, Izuku said, then rushed at Bakugo as the explosion boy grinned, then began to pull something on the gauntlet. It looks like a grenade. Is he about to set off an explosion? Vaguely, Izuku could hear something over the comms, and Bakugo replied, but Izuku couldn't focus on that. He had to get the fuck out of the way of that blast before it killed him. Izuku could feel the heat of the explosion, but barely managed to duck under the gauntlet, just in time. His hood got singed. He could distinctly smell burning fabric. The fabric was fireproof, but at point blank like that, didn't matter. And he prayed there was no damage as he punched once, twice, just as Bakugo realized what was happening. Before he could pull his arm away, Izuku hit the third point he was going for, grabbing onto the arm as it went forward, as it went slack, yanking Bakugo forward. The explosive boy wasn't down just yet, and he brought his other hand down to set an explosion off right in Izuku's face. "Oh, come on, Bakugo. Your tell is obvious, even for you." Izuku quickly reached up with the capture tape and secured it around Bakugo's wrist, bringing up his knee to smash into the gauntlet, causing Bakugo to falter as Izuku then yanked Bakugo down. There's always another pressure point. His costume doesn't cover it, so this is going to be easier, and brought his hand up to his neck, hitting his indented pressure point hard, causing Bakugo to fall to the ground, out cold. Just in case, though, Izuku was quick to secure the capture tape, then he tapped his comm. "I've captured Bakugo. Where are you?" Izuku said. "Third floor, room 5, Ida's smart. He hit all the things I could use for ammo," Uraraka replied. "But now he's monologuing?" "Got it. I'm right below you," Izuku said, walking over to the window. "Keep him looking away from the window and eyes on you. I'll be there in a few seconds." "Got it," Uraraka said, then went off the comm as Izuku climbed out of the window and looked up. There weren't any pipes to climb up, and the windowsill was very thin. It would be easier with a fire escape, but he'll make do. Izuku took a deep breath, then jumped from the window and grabbed onto the thin ledge, carefully pulling himself up. Thankfully, he wasn't too far off the ground, so if he fell, he wouldn't be too badly hurt. Izuku peeked into the window to see, yep, Ida was indeed monologuing. He's dedicated to the role, at least. At least he'd make a great theater kid, not gonna lie, but his dedication would be the end of him here. Izuku tested out the window. It wasn't locked, so he didn't have to break the window, and risk tearing his costume. Sue him. He had a sentimental attachment to it. Either way, he carefully climbed through the window and slowly snuck up, smiling under his mask as Ida was about to say something about the proper way to be a villain is to let the hero truly know what they have lost. Izuku stood next to the bomb, looking it up and down for a second before touching it. "The bomb has been captured! Hero team wins!" Ida spun around as Izuku and Uraraka burst out laughing. "When? How? I thought that Bakugo—" "He's unconscious right below us," Izuku said, then tapped his comm. "All Might, want me to bring him to the viewing room, or—" "That won't be necessary. Recovery Girl's medical bots are already deployed to pick him up and bring him to the infirmary," All Might said. "Oh, that won't be necessary. I just hit a pressure point. He's not injured too badly," Izuku said. "Protocol," All Might said. "Fair enough," Izuku said. "Now, make your way to the viewing room for feedback," All Might said. "Let's go," Ida said, and the three of them left the building. Izuku glanced to see Bakugo being taken by the recovery bots, despite insisting that he was perfectly fucking fine, asshole. Now, who was the MVP of this round? I would say Midoriya. He executed his strategy with ease and captured the bomb. His takedown of Bakugo was quick as well, crucial to a real villain fight. "Very good observation, young Yaoyorozu," All Might said. "Now, anyone have any notes for the battle trial?" "I do, actually," Izuku said, then looked at Ida. You moved everything Uraraka could have used for ammo out to make it easier for you. That was a great strategy." "Oh, thank you," Ida said. "That is a good point, young Midoriya," All Might said. "As for young Uraraka, any notes?" "I would suggest finding other odds and ends to use your quirk on, perhaps carrying someone yourself, or using your quirk on Ida to stop him," Yaoyorozu said. "Having extra ammo on yourself is always a good idea, but acting as a distraction was a good idea too," Izuku added, looking at Uraraka, then at Ida. "No offense, but the monologue thing was a little over the top." So Uraraka indulging in it gave her time to strategize and figure out a plan of action in the moment, which turned into waiting for me. "That is a good point. Distractions, especially when having backup at the ready, can be beneficial," Yaoyorozu said. "All right, time for the next trial," All Might said, going to draw the next two groups. Yaoyorozu ended up walking up to Izuku. "Want to look at critiques together? You seem to know what you're doing." "Sure," Izuku said. "You made some great points about performances. Any critiques for me?" "Perhaps taking down Bakugo before the blast went off," Yaoyorozu said. "All Might had to ban him from using it again, so I assume it was very dangerous, and if it was a villain using something like that and had aimed at the structure of the building, it could have put everyone at risk of the building collapsing." "That's a great point, you're right. I should have gone for the knockout immediately. Perhaps a sneak attack, or the moment I got close enough," Izuku said. He snuck up on you, so it would likely have been the moment you started hitting his aiming for the neck would have been a better idea. If possible, his costume wasn't fortified there either, Yaoyorozu said. And the two of them continued their little nerd rant about that as the next round started. I'm going to take a water break and pause there. And we're back. By the time the day ended and Bakugo came back to class, grumbling about how he shouldn't have left in the first place, Izuku had a new friend, a reason to avoid Bakugo, or, well, they weren't exactly friends anymore, hadn't been for a while, and a sense of anxiety as the day went on until he was standing outside the teacher's lounge. I can do this. I already got through the hard part yesterday. I can do this. I can do this. The door opened and Cemento-sensei stepped out right into Izuku, causing the student to stumble back slightly. Oh goodness, I'm sorry, Cemento-sensei said, helping Izuku steady himself. Are you all right? Yeah, Izuku said. My bad. Is that the green Midoriya? Present Mike poked his head out the door with a big smile on his face. Hi, Present Mike-sensei, Izuku said. Hi, Midoriya, Present Mike said. Let's get going. Change into your gym uniform and meet me at Ground Zelta. At Gym Zelta. Do you know where that is? Yeah, I memorized the map to the northwest of the building, right? Izuku asked. Yep, Present Mike said. I'm heading there right now, so meet me there. Okay, Izuku said, then turned and speed walked. He didn't run to the locker room to change. Damn it, where did he go? Denki grumbled to himself right after class. Midoriya had run off. He was going to ask if he could ride home with the twins, a chance to get to know Hitoshi a little more, but he didn't get the chance to ask. The whole day. It didn't help that he had a hard time remembering what stop to get off on, and he had trouble getting to his apartment building from there. Maybe he and Hitoshi leave right after school? Then I won't get the chance to hang out with them. Can't go to school with them, can't go home with them, try to sit with them at lunch. I'm sure Ashido and Sarah would understand, right? I hope so. Midoriya suddenly turned his corner and started walking towards Denki. Oh, hey, Kaminari, Midoriya said as he walked by. Hey, Midoriya, hey, what are you doing? Denki asked, quickly following Midoriya as he walked down the hall. I have somewhere to be, Midoriya said. Heading home? Can I tag along? Denki said. Not yet, Midoriya said. Wait, really? Denki asked. I can wait and come with. We're going to the same place anyway. I'm busy. Really sorry, Midoriya said, then paused. Hitoshi's hanging out in the library for a while, though. Maybe go ask him. Perfect. Got it. Have fun with whatever you're doing, Denki said, then turned and stopped. Which way's the library again? Take the hallway 3 to the right, 2 to the left, then walk past the Gen Ed classes. You'll see it, Midoriya said. Thanks, Denki said, and then turned and tried to follow those directions, succeeding in finding himself at the school library. Middle school him wouldn't be caught dead here, but he would make an exception for such a hot boy. Denki stepped into the library, looking around. All right, where was Hitoshi sitting? Denki turned a corner, and there he was, sitting at a table and reading a textbook, taking notes. How does he always look so hot? Hitoshi looked up and spotted Denki, blinking at him. Well, no backing out now. Hi, Denki said, then walked over and plopped down next to the taller boy. Mind if I wait here until you go home? I spotted your twin. He said he was busy and said you'd be here. Ah, Hitoshi said. On his way to or from the teacher's lounge? I don't know. I think from? Hitoshi nodded, looking back at his book. Makes sense. What's he up to? Denki asked. Probably wouldn't want me to tell you, Hitoshi said. Okay, Denki said, peeking over at the textbook. What you reading? A medical textbook, Hitoshi said. Planning on being a doctor? Denki asked. Nope, hero, but it's always a good idea to know first aid, Hitoshi said. Oh, right, Denki said. How are you getting into the hero course? School sports festival, Hitoshi said. If I get to round 3, there's almost a guarantee that I'll get in. Awesome, hope you end up in our class, but that might be confusing with 2 Midoriyas, huh? Denki said. Probably, but Izuku and I have been in the same class since we were 10, Hitoshi said, turning the page and squinting at it. I don't know if it's sad or not that I already know all of this. Oh, Denki asked, looking at the page. I don't. Mind explaining it? Sure, Hitoshi said, then gestured at the page. Okay, so I looked at the video of you using your quirk at the entrance exam, and then at the quirk assessment test yesterday, Present Mike Sensei said. You're doing really well with hand-to-hand from what Aizawa's told me, so we're just figuring out your quirk. Any ideas you've been working with? Just two, Izuku said, fidgeting slightly. I think my bones might be breaking because I'm not controlling the power output. Like if you put an egg in a microwave and turn it up too much and it explodes, I just need to keep it at the lower end and not let my bones break. I just have to figure out how to do that. It's not like I've never had to personally control a quirk before, and since I don't exactly have quirk nerves, I'm going to have to spend every second controlling the output of my quirk to prevent it from going overboard until my subconscious mind can take care of that, or until my body develops a set of quirk nerves on its own. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I'll have to look into case files for that, and see if it's happened before. Someone getting a quirk later in life and not having quirk nerves but developing them, and then again, quirk nerves aren't exactly the most studied area. Izuku stopped, hunching his shoulders. Sorry. That's all right, little listener. Can't say I caught all of that, so would you mind walking me through? Present Mike Sensei asked. Sounds like you had some very interesting ideas that we might be able to work with. Okay, Izuku said, thinking for a few seconds. Well, sorry I'm late. Hi, Kaminari. Coming home with us, then? Dunki looked up as Midoriya entered the library and walked over to their table. Hey, Izuku, how'd it go? Hitoshi asked. Midoriya glanced at Dunki, then back at Hitoshi. It went well enough. Time to head home? Yep, Hitoshi said, quickly packing up his things, Dunki doing the same. Both boys stood up. Great, Midoriya said, just taking out his phone and sending a text. Just let Mom know. Also, I'm staying after school tomorrow, too. He glanced at Hitoshi, then at Dunki. You can head home sooner if you want, I can wait, Hitoshi said. I don't mind either if you're fine with me waiting here each day, that is, Dunki said. Hitoshi looked at him. You're insistent on that. I don't get it. Well, we're friends, and friends usually go home together, so, Dunki said. Please don't deny it, my heart couldn't take it. Huh, Hitoshi said, shrugging. That's fair. Still, though, don't feel like you have to wait. I want to, though, Dunki said as they left the library. So, Hitoshi, did you hear about Hiroki's class today? Your brother killed it. What happened? Hitoshi asked, as Midoriya groaned. And that is Chapter 7. So far, there's only one more chapter out right now, and updates are a bit slow, so this fic might get put on the back burner while we wait for the author to do their thing. If I'm remembering correctly, there's a lot more chapters for Hysterical, and I have a few other fics in mind that I was also wanting to read. So, we'll have those in the meantime, and, let me know what you thought of this chapter, and, you know what to do, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time.